Welcome back, panelists here. CNBC editor-at-large John Harwood, Helene Cooper, Pentagon correspondent for the New York Times, Anna Palmer, co-author of Playbook, Politico's daily newsletter, and Rich Lowry, editor of National Review, and the author of the new book, The Case for Nationalism, How It Made Us Powerful, United, and Free. Welcome, everybody. I'll put up a graphic of the impeachment inquiry vote of Clinton versus Trump. House defections, 30 people are being reminded, oh yeah, there were 31 Democrats, Anna, back then that voted for this inquiry. And I have one with an asterisk here. I don't know what you do with Justin Amash. It's not a zero. At the same time, he's not a Republican anymore. But the fact of the matter, he sits there too. It is a sign of the times. It's interesting. The evidence, Anna says, oh my God, the president's in trouble. The politics say, oh my God, the president's fine.
It's pretty stunning when you put those numbers out there. The thing that's kind of stunning to me is just that both Republicans and Democrats believe the same set of facts are true. They just don't believe whether it was wrong or not. And this just underscores how partisan Capitol Hill is right now. There's very little chance that any Republicans you're going to see move over to that other column.
That was what struck me in our poll, Rich. Oh, he can't get impeached. And I don't know if he can win re-election. Like, both things can be true.
Yeah, well, it's also amazing. So impeachment's 49-46, which pretty much exactly mirrors the popular vote.
It's a presidential vote.
Yeah. So the last 3 years, we think there have been a lot of developments. In the big scheme of things, there have been no developments. It's exactly the same situation. I think Cole is kind of working himself up to what I think is the best defense, which is that impeaching and removing a president would literally be an unprecedented act in American history. So you need the enormity of the offense to match that severe and unprecedented punishment. And even if this was improper, and I think elements of it were, I don't think it reaches that level.
John?
Well, first of all, I disagree with Anna slightly in that I think that the two sides look at the same set of facts. I don't think Republicans agree that it wasn't wrong. The question goes to what Rich said, is the gravity of the offense. Secondly, the graphic you put up about the Democrats voting against Clinton and Justin Amash voting against Trump makes the point about what's changed. First of all, when Bill Clinton was president, you still had a slug of conservative Democrats in the party. The two parties have become more polarized since then. And as a reflection of that polarization, on the Republican side, if you break from the president, you immediately get ejected from the party. That's why he's not. That's why the Republican number was 0.
You know, Helene, let me put up some other impeachment historical numbers. We have some polling numbers now. Here's the impeach and job approval of Trump, 49-45. 49 want him out, 45 approve of his job. Clinton stood at only 24% supported impeachment in October of 98, 68% approved his job. And then look at Nixon's numbers here at this point in time. 27%, his job approval was already below 30, but at the time only 33% approved of impeachment. So Trump does fall sort of in the middle between Clinton and Nixon here.
It's such an interesting contrast when you look at the three of them. It's also interesting that Bill Clinton was not going to be running for re-election, which
or
in
Nixon.
the whole and Nixon as well. So that changes the whole complexion of all of this. But I think we're seeing with these poll numbers exactly why Nancy Pelosi dragged her feet for so long on moving to impeachment. This is why, I think that she did not want to do this. And the Democrats are taking a huge, huge risk here. It's going to be really fascinating to see on the Republican side. They too have gotten themselves in a fix. I don't think this is a question of them not thinking that this rises to the level of impeachment. I think they just know that their political fortunes are completely tied in with this president. And if they go for impeachment, they're not going to win their own races. I think that's the dynamic we're seeing here.
Anna, there is a dilemma on the Democratic side, and it's the presidential race. I want to put up a few things here. Ro Khanna, Democrat from California, who happens to be the Bernie Sanders national co-chair, about impeachment. I certainly think it ought to happen before Iowa. Steny Hoyer. We would like to do it as expeditiously as possible. John Tester. It's important that they do their job in a very timely manner. Lois Frankel. This whole impeachment conversation is overshadowing the actual presidential race. This is that second bar that I felt like Terry Sewell acknowledged is probably a bar they can't meet, which is, yes, they can make the case that what he did was a quid pro quo. But can they make the case that it is so egregious the voters shouldn't have a say a year from now?
Yeah, I don't think Democrats are there yet. I think that you're going to see Nancy Pelosi try to move as fast as possible. I think the problem for Democrats right now, though, is this next week they're still going to be doing these depositions behind the scenes. It really gives Republicans that ability to continue to make the argument that Democrats have just gone rogue. They're going to do this no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
There's an NPR Marist poll a couple weeks ago, had 52% supporting the inquiry, but then asked, is the best way to deal with this to remove him or to have an election? It was 58-37 in favor of an election. So that's a very strong suit for Republicans. Also, I just don't think removing him would actually, at the end of the day, be good for the country. It would blow a hole of legitimacy at the center of our national politics that would take years.
You had also wrote, and I've been citing your column a couple weeks ago, you had also wrote that don't look for 20 Republicans. That basically they're going to jump off the cliff together,
right?
Because you can't split off. Explain why that.
Well, I mean, you could see a couple, Romney and a couple others maybe, but the difference between the 4th Republican senator and the 30th Republican senator would not be huge. But for that to happen, I think it would take an earth-shattering event. And Republicans are also very cognizant of the fact that this would split the party desperately and probably totally ruin its chances in 2020.
Well, I think the big drama is going to be when we switch from closed hearings to public hearings, what happens then? We've seen the phenomenon in our poll going from 11% Republican support impeachment down to 6% as the partisan temperature has been raised by Republicans with this process behind closed doors. Fox News poll out today showed the same thing. They had 13% before favoring impeachment removal, now down to 8%. I should say the Washington Post had 18% of Republicans in a poll this week, so that there's a little question there. But when it becomes public, can those Republican numbers increase? I've had Republican operatives tell me if you get 25 or 30% of Republicans saying he should be impeached and removed, then Republican lawmakers start looking at this differently.
Then the numbers look different, but that would depend on, do you have a John Bolton? Do you have somebody of a big persona? John Bolton might fit that description. If he testified against it.
Let's say John Bolton comes out and testifies that he basically backs up what Colonel Vindman said and what Bill Taylor said. Are we going to really see the needle move? That's all been. I feel like that's all been cooked in already. The public at this point pretty much knows what's happened. What happened. So unless we're going to be coming out, unless there are more revelations to come out, unless there are things that happened before this or after this that show even more of a pattern. I think a lot of this has been baked in.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about outside of Washington here the next time we gather on this impeachment question, because that is the other issue. What is acute here is more noise outside of here.